Welcome, Nate. He's in tech. He works a lot of hours in a good way. He's doing a lot of cool stuff for this industry. But one of the things that really brought us together, he's having some weight challenges with just having sheer volume of work and having to overcome that. He also had some blood sugar issues that we had to work through as well, and juggling travel. This guy travels international, and it seemed like every other week he was wanting to go somewhere else. And oh yeah, let's not forget, he is a foodie. He loves food and tastes of food. And these were all positive things that we were able to work through and create a lasting, successful process with. So Nate, welcome to Driven for Health, episode 137. Excited to have you and talk about our progress together. So in a quick recap, what is it that we were able to accomplish together?
Hey, Brian, super grateful to have met you and have gone on to this journey with you. And this is truly a life-changing, I really mean it. It's truly been a life-changing journey for me. Maybe a little bit of a background.
Yeah.
We met in February, maybe about 5 months to be exact.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had really an intense period of time at work and stress and travel. And also, even though I did have an exercise plan, etc., I never had a control over the schedule, the routine.
Mm-hmm.
And consequently, I had no sort of internal structure to my days in terms of how I perceived food, a systematic way to combine diet and exercise. And consequently, I was about 197 pounds. And as you say, I love food, and my blood sugar
Don't
a
we
bit too
all?
my blood sugar numbers were a bit too high for my comfort. And so that was when a mutual friend of us put us together. And I was just really impressed from day one itself in
Wonderful.
terms of beyond this being your work, it's very clear that you care. And
Thank
that
you.
meant a lot to me. So
Thank you.
what did we accomplish? Today, after 5 months, I've lost about 23 pounds. And most importantly, my blood sugar numbers are under control. That gives me much more hope.
Yes. Yes.
But I'm also hopeful. I think the most important thing for me is I didn't want to not eat, and I didn't want
Right.
to not be able to. Everyone who works with me, both at work and in my personal life, knows that I live for desserts. I live for ice cream. I live for
Yes.
I think dessert making is an art,
Yes. Oh,
and
very much so.
yeah.
And you
So
travel a lot, so just having opportunity to enjoy these experiences in different cultures and environments was something that you found pleasure in, which is
yeah, that's
quite
right.
okay.
Like, yeah, that's right. So I just didn't, and I'm a, I get up every day out of bed to experience new day every day, and part of that
Yeah.
is food, part of that is the cultural experiences, and I just didn't want to deny any of them. So it
Right.
was very clear from day one that I'm not going to be on Ozempic. Even that's an easy way out. I mean, it's good. It's potentially will be even
Mhm.
more important if they figured out how to, what it does with cravings and all of that. But I was also really worried about the side effects in terms of how it affects the pancreas, the gut, the stomach,
Right.
and I just didn't want any irreversible damage. Plus, I also wanted to give it the good old way of hard work, right? So,
Right.
but what you've made me done in 3 crisp sentences are: first, you gave me the right framework to understand what consumption is, what the right food consumption is in terms of metrics, in terms of how much I should eat across different categories, all of that. Second, you took away the fear of eating carbs.
Yeah.
And in my previous self-taught way of thinking about what I should eat, I knew about the relative importance of carbs versus fat versus proteins. I was in keto
Mhm.
for a while and all of that. But what you've helped me do is to understand that it's okay. And not only is it okay, but it's important to eat the carbs that your body needs, but be
Yep.
selective about how and when you eat them and all of that.
Yep.
And the third one is the perspective of when, being human and when to travel and knowing myself a bit more in terms of plan, be an observer of oneself and see where the lapses come. Don't be so hard on yourself. And the
Right.
more you plan or be aware of. So, for example, now I'm in dinners. If I have a party, I would know that I'm going to be eating a little bit more there. And so either I make up for during the day or not stress
Mhm.
over it too much because I knew that
Right.
that's something that I would do and that's okay. Life goes on.
Find some balance.
Yes. So those were the three in terms of giving the structure, giving the measurements, and
Mhm.
thinking that no food is banned. And the third is the awareness.
Yeah. That's excellent. And so many of my clients come to me in this same situation of having challenge around what food should I pick or is this okay or not? And it's all from past behaviors or past thought processes or diets or any of those frameworks that they've fallen into in the past that sometimes has been built around marketing and people selling programs in a sense and it's not necessarily long term helpful because even say the word keto, that was all the rage and nobody's talking about being on the keto diet anymore. And so it's like GLP-1s now. I have some episodes 121, 123 and 131. You can listen to some of those on different aspects of it. And that is can be a tool depending on where you're at with your health, how much body weight you need to lose and say chronic illness of having diabetes. That's a main prerogative of why people should get on it, but not because you have to lose 20 pounds in a sense. That would not necessarily be
Yeah.
the best choice. So, now what were the motivations of juggling all these things? Certainly you enjoy food, but just like the day to day lifestyle that you have of being busy, traveling a lot. What were the motivations of trying to figure this out and once and for all, so this
Yeah,
wasn't
I'll
just
just
linger?
talk about motivations, and but also try to keep it real, especially for people who are in similar situations who would understand
Yeah,
what they get into and what has helped me. Right, the
right.
motivations were really simple. Like I just didn't want to not do anything. I just didn't want to be helpless
Yeah.
and have stress and other things be an excuse. And as simple as that. And
Mm.
I was also in between jobs. I wanted to take a break. I was in sabbatical. I was an
Mm.
academic before. So I had a little bit of time and I thought this will be a productive time to reset, sort of
Yeah.
important. So
Yeah. Very much.
I'm so glad I did it because so here is what I would share from my journey. I think some days are a struggle in terms of, you know, I started measuring the amount of calories, etc. in the initial stages. I think it's so
Right.
important. But toward now, I don't really need to do that because I'm already at my target weight, etc. And maintenance for me is easy. And I'll come back to that in a minute, why that is easier for me.
Yeah.
But I still lapse sometimes. And I
Me
do
too.
need, yeah. But because I have some, some health issues I need to be careful about, I can't, even on the days that I am exposed to this kind of, culinary distractions or temptations, if you will, I need to be super careful about being aware. And that's something that takes time. And one needs to give oneself the time to say, I will get there. But also what has motivated me is that now that I've made so much progress, and I don't want to undo it. And that me a restraint to say, okay, well, look, I think that this is good and it'll be there tomorrow. Or, and I've learned to prioritize better. I can say yes so that I can also say no because I'll say, I'll come back to say yes again. So that has helped me. Now, maybe another thing. So, what also has helped me is that I walk 10,000 steps every day,
Yeah.
almost without any excuses.
Yep.
And I didn't want to run. I didn't want to do any of the heavy cardio because I want to protect my joints and I want to walk
Right.
until. the day I die. But I think
Uh-huh.
walking is a I think it's such an underappreciated facet of
It's a cheat code, that's for
it.
sure.
Really is a cheat code, and I learned to work walking in my schedule. I've done this before, but now so I had that background. So, for example, walking meetings at work or take
Right.
15-minute chunks. So, about 10,000 steps will take you an hour and a half of walk. I'm a slow walker. I want to enjoy the nature.
Mhm.
So, I've found a ways to fit that an hour and a half of walk
Yes.
in my time, even in shorter and longer chunks. So, that helped. I also got myself a trainer and worked 3 days a week.
Yep.
And that helped too. And that's all I did, really.
And those
So
are some of the basics of one of the core four is the movement. And it's just okay, we need to walk a certain amount and we generally need to do some form of strength training because regardless, Father Time's gonna pull muscle off your body and you need to be strong and functional so that you can, as you just said, walk until the day you die and not just be in a wheelchair or hobbling around or just really restricted because you can't move your body.
that's right. And also, one thing that you've instilled in me, which I didn't appreciate until you pointed that out, is that the timing of the meals was so important in the sense that, especially before gym, I did allow myself, for example, a really generous dollop of honey with Greek
Yeah.
yogurt because you need that energy to do perform
Yes.
well in gym and push yourself and give yourself that. And the second thing I think many users, many of your potential clients would resonate with is that I can't think in an empty stomach. So I
Yeah.
used intermittent fasting before, but I sort of given that up because I maybe people will eventually get used to it. But if I want to really do cognitively demanding tasks, especially, I mean, I used to be a mathematician before, and that
Yep.
requires intense hard work across many hours.
Yep.
Even now, in my current job in tech also requires this.
Yep.
So there also the meal timing matters so that I don't binge. I give myself
Yep.
enough fuel,
Yep.
especially on those times, so that I sort of r- remove the snacking temptations. And what
Yes.
surprised me in the program was how much fruit is part of the diet.
Yep.
And so, and that plus, for example, Greek yogurt really took away some of the temptations. And I also had to initially teach myself to restrain to get more snacks in between because each snacks, as you say, are 100 calories each and can add up, let alone, you know,
Right.
playing with the insulin and blood sugar and all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. The brain processes off glucose. And when I have someone that has a very time demand cognitive demanding job and that they have to spend lots of hours in deep thought, we do have to have strategies around how we keep that thought process going so we don't experience brain fog or just a loss of motivation and productivity in the time frame that you have to do this deep work. And then when you come out of that, we don't want it just to be a splurge fest because there's no plan either and you're famished and you're not tired because you worked out a bunch. You're tired because you've been thinking heavily and you have this just perceived level of exhaustion because it is taxing with high demand work. And so that
That's
is
right.
just something to point out to people listening in is like if you have deep brain work, we need glucose going and the honey in the yogurt or honey even in tea can be a strategy that we had talked about that could be implemented into that. So you got a little bit of glucose that kept you things
No,
moving, but
yeah,
it
maybe
didn't.
I should clarify that because we discussed this. So the honey with Greek yogurt is just before the gym so that the instant
Yep.
sugars are, the muscles can absorb them. And for deep work, I usually do a generous bowl of Greek yogurt, peanut butter, and fruit so that
Mhm.
that sustained energy, in addition to high
Yes.
protein, that gives me sustained energy for 2, 3 hours
Yeah.
or 3, 4 hours.
Yeah.
One other thing I must mention that worked for me is the fact that your program is about not eating less but eating more, right?
Ah,
Like in
yes.
right. So which is that so that I made sure to have high volume foods. So I've
Yep.
so that every serving is high volume. And so I don't feel like I'm on a diet. I never felt that.
Right.
And that it will keep me full until the next meal. And
Yeah.
occasionally, if I feel hungry, maybe I'll have a piece of chocolate or a piece of fruit. And a piece of fruit sometimes can be 100 calories, for example. But I never felt guilty about it too, because I was eating only because I felt I needed to, and I would do it only on occasional days,
Right.
and it helped me, right? So
Right. No, that's super important. Yes. Volume approach is a huge thing. Where's the protein? Where's the fiber? Two simple questions to allow for a high volume food with lower calorie so that we don't overeat. And I love that you brought up is a main undertone is eat enough food to get you to the next time you're going to eat again. So we had some forethought in our planning and our approach around when the meals were, around what your daily schedule looked like, and it varied from one day to the next, especially when you're traveling. I would love to talk a little bit about travel and segue into that for a second because you did travel a lot into some really cool, fun experiences and stuff. And so, how has the travel experience been different than what you would have done if you weren't paying attention?
two things. One is that when in the last few months, we discussed before each travel and what could be potentially the issues are. And even during the travel, and I must say, regardless of the travel, I'll come back to travel in a minute. This is a fundamental piece of our work together that we should have spoken about first, which is that I started with saying you care, right? And what did I really mean? Is this constant? You were always there when I needed you, and you were always there when I was naughty that you didn't know. But the fact back in really made me aware, right?
Right.
And that sort of built in the initial accountability for me that was crucial. I think this
Yeah.
wouldn't have worked first if I weren't motivated. But if one
Right.
is motivated, that the resources that you provide, being there for me and checking in with me constantly was God sent. And I would miss that,
Perfect.
frankly, long after our partnership is gone, because it's being a friend who actually is also the coach, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
With the with it's at that level where I constantly now, whenever I have, I sort of get a dessert or two with my, my family and friends, I always joke, "Hey, my coach is watching," right? So that was
He's
fundamental.
speaking somewhere around here.
That's right. Oh, my friend, okay, I'm going to tell you, coach, etc. Now
Yeah.
that
Right.
also helped, right? So that
Right.
same level of communication helped me plan my travel better. For example, when I went to South Africa, you told me, hey, maybe you can have dessert 2 days a week instead of 5 days a week. Okay, of course,
Right.
I didn't stick to the plan, but at least I had a plan.
Yeah.
But I did have, but the other travels, uh, I sort of lost weight instead of gained weight. For example, I went to Florida, I went to Japan, both of them because I walked a lot and I planned the day so that during the day I eat very little or have just enough and have coffee and stuff, but so that I know I can have a really nice meal on at dinner. And I never compromised on the quality of meals. I'm not saying expensive meals, but the tasty, even
Right.
hole in the wall foods like fried chicken, fried
Hmm.
dough, right? And
I am
that
confident that you seeked out premium food choices, whether it was a fine dining experience or a food truck. I'm pretty
yes,
sure that I knew you. If I were to hang out with you on a trip, I'd be like, "Where's he going?" Because I know he's getting really tasty food.
yes, that's right.
You can sniff it out.
Yes, across the world. And I think I sent you some pictures too. So
Yep.
I think so that planning as well as during the day being aware of how the meal is structured helped initially. Now I'm
Yeah.
at a point where it's sort of very clear to me because I don't want to undo, like, it also compounds, right? My friends I just been to Japan and my friends who hadn't seen me a while and they're noticing you've where is Nate? Like where is
Where'd
he
he go?
really? Yeah, yeah. So, and that,
There was more of you the last time I saw.
yeah. So that also makes me so incredibly energized.
Yeah.
In addition to my general my functional stuff
Right.
has improved, my strength has improved. I'm, better at work, better in my personal life.
Right.
I'm more present at the moment.
Yep.
That makes me aware of, okay, I can say no easier, right? And knowing that, yes, I can binge too sometimes, so that it's always there, but I don't have to do it all the time. And
Right.
that's a that's a that's what's really keeping me. And I'm pretty confident that I have the set of tools now to maintain this. I think I've
Yes.
lost about 23 pounds. I'm about 175. I'm in target weight, but I think I want to lose 10 more pounds because, I want to be really lean now. Like, why not? Like, sky's
Right.
the limit. Like, want to put
Right.
muscles on. And this is all at 45. And honestly, I just didn't think, if you asked me maybe 5 months ago, will I be 175 starting from 198? I would not have guessed. Like, I've not seen this weight for since high school, right? So this is like, yeah, yeah, it's a life changing, truly life changing journey.
That's
And I
awesome.
didn't
That's
even
awesome.
know it. This is like, I just did it.
Yeah. 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 And that's the best part is that when I come in, we assess where you're at. I meet you where you are. And then I just start offering up the next best solution. And everyone's different. Some people need more support, other people don't. In our conversations, they were generally straight to the point. You knew what you needed to cover, boom, 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 and off you went. And then we just held each other accountable throughout the week in between our conversations. And that was the perfect amount for you because if you'd had to say, been on the phone for an hour with me, like, this is too much, Brian. This is not what I need. I don't say like I don't need hand holding, but then the next person might need more attention. And it varies at different times throughout the program too, depending on what is happening. And so in the beginning, we spend more time making sure that there's just a general undertone of what we're doing with nutrition, fitness, lifestyle. But then as it starts to get into the daily repeatable behaviors and habits, then it becomes a lot easier in a sense, simple and easy. But then we have certain times of, oh, I'm going here, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing there. How do I work through these situations? And then, we talk a little bit more about those specific things. And that's the art of coaching in a sense. And that's where I've spent, I don't know, 23 years and thousands of conversations to be able to facilitate that in the ultimately, again, going back to the simplest, easiest way possible so you can just do it and not have to wonder. And if you ever have questions, you're like, well, I'll just ask Brian. And because I literally have the most incentive to make sure that you are successful in this
Yeah.
process.
Yeah. I must add to that. Huge plus one to that.
Okay.
You coached me, but you also taught me. I think the first 2 weeks
Mm,
in intense education. After
yeah.
that, it was coaching. But the
Yep.
first 2 weeks was really a tremendous amount of education, right?
Yep.
I was already
You're a smart
into this.
guy. Yeah.
No,
Well,
no, I
you're a
was,
smart guy
oh,
either.
well, not just that. I think that, no one knows everything. So, but I was
Right.
already, I knew quite a lot about proteins, carbs, fats,
Yes.
etc. But, but I also let that knowledge go and trusted you. And boy,
Yeah.
am I glad that I did that because, for example, maybe I thought that having fruits, even after proteins and fat, or even have carbohydrates, even with proteins and fat, is very bad for blood sugars. And it's really
Right.
not,
Right.
especially if you consume fruit and you have generous portions of fruit, right? It was like huge, like one serving can be of blackberries can be really large. And I
Yes.
sometimes have two or three. And I looked at, and I was curious what it would do to me. And to my surprise, it's okay. It's just telling us that your body really needs it. So, what I would say to potential clients who are watching, really
Yeah.
thinking about, is that first 2 weeks, make it non-negotiable to send Brian picture of every meal that you eat.
Yes.
Every, right?
Yep.
Every meal And what else I don't want to give away too much. He'll tell you what to do.
Well, we can give away trade secret. It doesn't matter because it's the act of implementation. What we
Yeah.
do, we ate protein, vegetables, starchy carbs, healthy fats. We ate 3 to 4 times a day, and we had roughly 4 to 500 calorie meals. And we practiced balance, and we made
Yeah.
concessions for a
Yeah.
higher meal. Like this, this isn't no secret. We walked in
Yeah.
case stabs. But so it's not that; it's actually doing it consistently in your lifestyle. That's the magic, so to speak. So there it
Yeah,
is,
that
everyone. There's the secrets.
right. Or yeah, maybe there is no secrets. There's
Yep.
100% no secrets. And he's not selling snake oil. Maybe I want to make sure that what he's saying is all made a lot of sense. That's why I signed up immediately. But what I'm
Yeah.
saying is that what is specific to you varies hugely from person to person. And
Right.
and those he can help you identify that very quickly in the first 2 weeks. Right.
Yeah.
So send every meal
Yep.
because there is a lot of options that you can do. Maybe, you don't care much about desserts. Maybe you care about bread. I never cared
Right.
that much about bread. I would right. I would like a pie. I can give up, I can give up sourdough for dessert
Right.
for breakfast any day. So that kind of options, I think, can be ironed out quickly in the first 2 weeks. And that's what for me,
Yes.
that started this journey.
Right. I think I do a really good job of, say, hitting the nail on the head, and we drive that nail as far into the wood as we can in the first 2 to 3 weeks. And then it becomes a lot easier. And we just have to get through that first 2 to 3 weeks where most people they'll do a weird thing. They'll just cut out calories or carbs or whatever, and they'll lose 10 pounds, but then they gain 11 back in a month or something. But they didn't learn anything. There was no processing and change that actually happened in their behaviors, and that's where we had done an excellent job. Nate, you crushed it. I'm super excited. I'm very happy for what's to come because you are basically food freedom in a sense, to be able to eat and enjoy to the level of foodie that you want to be at in the associated environments when it's most appropriate. And then the other times just like, well, I'm just going to eat basic, simple, and easy because I do want to enjoy at this one thing on this weekend or on this trip or wherever. And that's really, really
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Maybe let me add to that. What
Okay.
helped me? So for
Yeah.
me, ice cream is a non-negotiable thing, and I had ice cream every day, every single day. Okay,
That's
uh,
awesome.
routine.
You
And
ate
what
ice cream every day.
every single day, and I still do. And one of the things that helped me was and there are many ice cream makers that I'll tell you what worked for me was this Ninja Creamy,
Yes.
where and you can make sugar-free ice creams. It'll with literally no fat. I use the Fairlife milk.
Yeah.
Maybe I can help you make a recipe, Brian, so others can use, and there are plenty others in
Yeah,
YouTube.
yeah. Tell them what your favorite one was.
Yeah, so I make a mean pistachio, and
Ooh,
then yeah, and it basically at a pint of ice cream for me, 150 calories, 20 grams of protein. I used allulose monk sugar, so there's nothing else, and zero fat.
sure. Yeah.
And it's like store-bought ice cream. And my friend says you can't really recognize the difference, right? So I would
Everyone's lining up for Nate's ice cream now, huh?
yeah, yeah. So I think that helped me. And and whatever I wanted to eat also, what took away the cravings because I made it at home in a much healthier way. And I put because I'm a foodie, I also was passionate enough to replicate some of my favorite dishes in a much
Yes.
healthier way.
Yes.
And and so that also took away the denial aspects. And that was, I must say, honestly, that's the second, in addition to your coaching, I think that's the second part that has helped me to maintain the level of food enthusiasm and my way of life while carrying out this program.
Yeah. That's excellent. Excellent. I am confident that you can stay the course, that you can maintain your body weight. I teach all my clients to we want to get to a 5 pound weight range where you're just comfortable the rest of your life. And when you start to go up, because everyone's going to, you're just human, and you're like, oh, I'm starting to get to that limit where I need to stop trying to get away with everything. And so in Nate's situation, maybe he'll decrease the croissant or the pastry at the French cafe that he loves to go to. And so then in 2 days, it goes back down, and it's not a lot of work, because guys, if you gain 10 pounds, 1 to 2 pounds a week, weight loss, do quick math. That's 5 to 10 weeks worth of effort. And that's a lot that most people don't want to do on a regular basis. So let's lose the weight, be able to keep it off and stay in that 5 pound weight range. And Nate's going to be able to do that confident.
Yeah, I am very confident.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be, I just want to say, people who really want to change, this is an amazing opportunity to help me. And
Thank you.
as Brian said, there are literally no secret. The secret is that you have a personalized coach who cares. And often that brings accountability more than I realized that would help. So,
Yeah. Excellent. Well, Nate, thanks so much for coming on board, sharing your story. I know that it resonates with a lot of people that are struggling with weight, right? You were starting to tip the scales at almost 200, and that number is something you don't want to go past. Then we have the blood sugar issues that were of concern, especially for later in life. Blood sugar issues can turn into really dire health consequences later on if left unchecked, or medicine and doctor's visits and insurance and all these other things that you just don't want to deal with. So, what was the alternative? Finding an approach that worked for you. No matter if you're just living the day to day boring lifestyle, or you are traveling to South Africa or Japan, or all the more places that you're going to be going to here the rest of your life, so you can just thoroughly enjoy the foodie experience and not have to so worry about, like, well, I'm gonna bring 10 pounds back with me on my waist, not in my suitcase. And nobody wants that. So I appreciate your hard work, your effort, your discipline, and your self-motivation to really strive to be your best self. And the results have shown, like, even when you popped on the video, because we saw each other in the very first call, it's like, dude, I see you, this is so good. I'm so proud, so impressed, and excited. So if anyone is motivated by that, thecalltorise.com. It's a 100-day fat loss challenge, and that would be the easiest way to get started. So check that website out. It answers a significant amount of questions that you would have. I went to great lengths to explain the program, the process, so that you understood. There's coaching calls throughout these 137 episodes that I've done, that you can see what a roundtable looks like, and what coaching looks like, and have lots of testimonial on the podcast as well, so you can just hear what the clients experience. So off we go today. Thank you, Nate, for sharing. Thanks for making it easy for me. You truly did. I was like, I need more Nates in my life. This is great. So
likewise, it wasn't hard work, by the way. It was actually much easier than I thought. And
that's it. Yep. Yeah. So many guys that come in and they're like, I was ready to do battle and just starve. And you kept asking me to eat more food. And I just was confused in the beginning. And now I get it. Now that I am learn nutrition and all that. So, all right, off we go. Thanks so much. Thanks everyone listening. Bye-bye.